Hi, hello, my name is Gomer Joseph. I hope you've all been having a great day so far. Welcome back to another True Crime Tuesdays video. If you are new, I welcome you. Before I discuss today's case, I'd like to mention my Christian suspense book series titled Never As It Seems. The first book in the series is available on Amazon, and you can read it on any device on the Kindle app for free. Not only that, but I do have another book series, which is the Juliet Clark book series. This is about a Haitian American teen sleuth who happens to be a successful true crime YouTuber. The first book in this series is titled Murderer at Heart, and if you are interested, the links will be in the description box below. Now today I'll be discussing the mysterious case of Heather Elvis. This case was very complicated, it's very messy, and unfortunately, sadly, there are plenty of twists and turns in this tragic story. Now, even though there were convictions, Heather's loved ones were met with even more questions. Now, I encourage you all to do your own research with this case and not to just look at my video for all of the information. Here we go. Heather Elvis was born on June 24th, 1993 in Carolina Forest in North Carolina, but she eventually moved to Myrtle Beach, North Carolina. And she is born to parents Terry and Debbie Elvis, and she has a sister named Morgan. Heather was described as a girl who was full of life, outgoing, a free spirit. She was one who lit up a room, friendly, precious, confident, beautiful, independent, family-oriented. She loved social media. Heather loved fashion and makeup, and she was a dreamer. As Heather grew up, she worked at some bar and grill called the Tilted Kilt, and she was a waitress. Now, to describe the Tilted Kilt, it was almost like restaurants like Hooters, and if you don't know what Hooters is, then I just suggest that you look it up if you're curious. But on December 18th, 2013, Heather was 20 years old at this time. Terry Elvis, Heather's father, got an unexpected visit from a cop asking if he was missing a car. Terry answered that he didn't, but when the cop described the vehicle to him, the family realized that he was describing Heather's car, and the cop explained how he found this vehicle in a wooded area. And the thing that was very worrisome was that no one was inside of that car, and worried, Terry arrived to this area with the cop, and what made things worse was that they couldn't find Heather's phone, wallet, or pocketbook. So at this point, Heather is considered a missing person, so, the goal is to find her. So as the police are investigating, they look into what happened the night before. So Heather went on a date with some guy named Steven, who she knew from high school. And they eventually found a pic of her learning to drive a stick shift in Steven's truck, and they found out that he dropped her back home after their date. As police were asking around about Heather at her job, investigators were pointed towards a different man in Heather's life named Sidney Moorer, who she met at the bar and grill that she worked at. So the thing about Sidney, he was 37, and once again, Heather was 20 years old. So they were 17 years apart, and they had an affair. And I understand that, Heather is, an adult, a legal adult, but it's like, just having an affair with somebody who's 17 years younger than you. And, at first, this affair was a secret, but her coworkers eventually found out about it. So Heather is having an affair with a man who's 17 years older than her, but not only is that strange, what makes this whole thing worse was that Sidney was a married man to a woman named Tammy Moorer. Tammy was basically described as a woman who was the head of her marriage and the head of the household. And, Sidney had an affair prior to Heather, and as to why, I mean, of course, like, I'm not a fan of divorces, but of course, I'm also, I am all for reconciliation and everything, but Tammy didn't really seem to have trusted Sydney, which is really understandable. Like, he was already unfaithful to you before, so that trust would be pretty much broken. And because of this mistrust of her husband, Tammy was kind of on the edge. So a couple of Heather's coworkers were sick enough to even make prank phone calls to Heather claiming to be Tammy and told Heather that they knew that she was with Sydney. After this incident, Sydney didn't really come by to see Heather much, but somehow the real Tammy, who was furious, eventually found out that her husband was still a Rolling Stone being with Heather, and Tammy eventually called Heather on the phone. So not only that, but Sydney even called Heather, basically calling her, nothing, like calling her a whore, basically. And this hurt Heather because she had genuine feelings for this guy. Now, because of Tammy's bitterness, she could not leave this alone. She continued to harass Heather through text and posts on social media. And all this did was just make Heather feel miserable and even worried. So here, Tammy is harassing this 20-year-old woman, and I understand that, Heather was wrong by getting involved with a married man, but Tammy needs to keep in mind that her husband, who is a grown man, made the choice to be unfaithful. So sometime after Heather and Cindy ended their affair, Heather was able to get her energy back, and that's when she began dating and started dating Steven. So police, once they got word of Sydney and Heather's affair, they spoke with Sydney and questioned him about the affair with Heather and asked him when he last saw her. But Sydney was saying that he was no longer in contact with Heather and didn't see her. Of course, while police are investigating, there were search parties for Heather, and since Heather was still on her father's plan, police began looking at her phone records, discovering that calls were made back and forth with someone on a payphone. Now, where this payphone was located, there was this surveillance camera, but it was a bit grainy. So the police, you couldn't really see this man, but they had a feeling that this was Sydney, so they decided to go ahead and question him again. At first, he denied calling from the payphone, but, since he got word that there was surveillance camera, and the police didn't mention that the camera showed grainy footage, so all they did was just mention that they saw the video, but he eventually admitted that he did call from that payphone, claiming that he asked her to leave him alone. Heather's roommate, Brianna, had basically a different experience from what Sydney is explaining. So she saw this call take place, and Brianna, who was Heather's roommate, stated that Sydney called Heather, claiming that he left Tammy and wanted Heather back. So the good friend that Brianna was told Heather that she needed to tell Sydney to hit the road and not get involved with him again. Unfortunately, Heather didn't really seem to listen to this advice, so she called Sydney, who did answer, then left with her car around the time that she went missing. So that night when she decided to drive off, that's pretty much the last time that she was seen again. There was a house which caught another vehicle on camera heading towards where Heather's own vehicle was found, and with this video, this specific vehicle matched Sydney's. So another crazy moment, police discovered that Sydney went shopping the night Heather went missing, and at this Walmart, they found the receipt, and in the receipt, it showed that Sydney bought a pregnancy test, and police believe that it sure was not for Tammy. And Sydney tried to play it off, trying to say that he and Tammy were trying to find, trying to make another baby, but I don't see how someone would want to have another child after finding out that your spouse was unfaithful yet again. So I'll just go ahead and continue. When police found Sidney's vehicle, they noticed that his GPS card was deactivated, which made him seem very sketchy. So eventually, they arrested Sidney and Tammy Moore. Eventually, these two would go on trial. So as they were on trial, prosecution tried to pretty much make a motive. So they try to figure out the motive, and they believe that with the video of Sidney going to Walmart to buy that pregnancy test, they believe that they wanted Heather out the picture because Heather seemed to have been pregnant with Sidney's child, and prosecution even asked those in Heather's life if they noticed any physical changes with her, and they did notice these physical changes. So unfortunately, by the end, there was a hung jury for this trial, and the jury couldn't really, make a they couldn't make a they couldn't make one decision. They could not make a single decision. So there had to be a retrial, and but despite all this craziness, they did find Sidney guilty of obstructing justice, which sentenced him to 10 years in prison. But, again, with the retrial, that did frustrate Heather's loved ones. Now, Nancy was tried differently, and during Nancy's trial, Nancy tried to seem all innocent, as if she didn't post terrible things about Heather online, and as if she never texted Heather those nasty messages. So overall, the jury did find Nancy guilty for conspiracy of kidnapping, which sentenced Nancy to 30 years in prison. Now, when there was a retrial for Sidney, a cousin of Tammy Moore named Donald D. Marino, who was an inmate, claimed that Sidney showed him a picture of Heather's dead body, but couldn't offer a photo to give. Not only that, but there was a video shown to the court where Tammy and Sidney were cleaning their truck soon after Heather was missing, and Sidney was seen burning certain rags, shortly after Heather disappeared. So eventually, the jury came to a decision, and they found Sidney guilty for kidnapping, and he was also given a 30-year sentence as well. To this day, Heather's body has not been found, so Sidney and Tammy seem to be claiming their innocence, so it doesn't seem like they're going to share where Heather could be. So do you think that Heather could still be alive, or do you think that she's not with us? Please feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments section. So it's almost been 8 years since Heather has vanished, and my prayers are with her loved ones as they desperately still want to know where Heather is. And I understand that she got herself into a very sticky, messy situation, but that doesn't mean that she should have been, taken for it. She shouldn't have been snatched for it. The God that I serve, the God of the Bible, is an all-seeing God, and he knows exactly where Heather is. I thank you all for taking time in your day to watch this video. If you did like this video, please feel free to hit the like button. If you'd like to go ahead and share your thoughts on this video, please feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments section. If you'd like to see more videos from me, please feel free to click the subscribe button and click the bell to be notified about the next video. If there's a certain true crime case that you'd like me to cover, go ahead and let me know. I'll see y'all for next True Crime Tuesdays, and I'll talk to y'all later.